Hot Roster today. I'm Gary and Thorne. The matchups revealed, and Cam Stewart, the studio revealed.
Woo!
We are in the lovely Fantasy Sports Network studios.
Love the studio. Love the studio. A little more room to maneuver.
You know, it's got a little more professional feel. We've been rocking the jackets, trying to fake it for you guys, but now we reveal the matchups on HotRoster.com. But as we always do to start the show, the Big Four. What is happening that you need to know around specifically the NFL this morning? And Cam, we start with where we would start on a Thursday night, with the Thursday night football game. Eddie Royal will not play in this contest officially now with a toe injury. So, Cam, what this does is not only create a situation where possibly Alshon Jeffrey gets a little more involved in the offense than he has been in the prior weeks, maybe even gets into the end zone for the first time this season, but only increases everyone's love for Cam Meredith. How much do you think this affects Meredith?
Oh, huge. I got to go to the Cam. Cam! Yeah, like the old school days. It was usually for Newton last year. Now it's for Meredith. What are we talking, Gary? 27 targets in his last couple of games, 20 catches, 243 receiving yards. Cam Meredith, this guy's come out of nowhere. He's been fantastic for the Bears, and I'm with you. It's going to be the Alshon Jeffrey and Meredith show because we know the Chicago running back situation is a little bit clouded.
Yeah, it's a little bit clouded right now. It seemed like Jordan Howard was the guy. 93% of the snaps, his first two starts in that Chicago backfield, down to 69% with Kadeem Carey back this week. And also facing a defense that just got shredded by the Dallas Cowboys, but not every team is Ezekiel Elliott in that Dallas Cowboy offensive line. So still by DVOA, the third best run defense in football. So you would expect Brian Hoyer to be dropping back and heaving the ball quite a bit in this contest. Cam Meredith, 30.4%. That is how often he is targeted on his routes. That leads all NFL wide receivers this year. And I will say, I think Alshon finally scores a touchdown this game.
Oh, I do too.
The only top 50 wide receiver this season in fantasy points who has yet to find the end zone. Normalization is coming, Cam.
Great point by you, too. And when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys doing what they did, that's a special team.
Exactly.
We talk about their offensive line and Zeke Elliott and what they're doing, so other teams haven't been able to do it. So it's going to be interesting. You look at the Bears situation, I could see Hoyer airing it out. I'm with you. I think Jeffrey has a huge game. I think Meredith has a huge game. And I could see a lot of points in this football game. As for Aaron Rodgers, the question is, what's he going to do? We have a running back situation in Green Bay. Might have some Stanford Cardinal, Ty Montgomery sightings tonight, Gary.
Definitely some Ty Montgomery. It's a weird situation in both backfields. I will say I'm in a situation myself in a season-long league where I've got Mike Gillisley on the bench. I'm waiting for that LaShawn McCoy news to break, and I got Jordan Howard. So it's, do I play Howard? Do I wait on Gillisley? There's some stuff going on
exactly what
here.
I did too. I got the handcuff to McCoy. I'm thinking I'm in my cash league, and I'm thinking I really need, if something happens to McCoy, I need Gillisley. So you're a very smart man, Gary.
Still 17 touches for Howard though last week, so not something to turn your nose up at. Carlos Hyde will not be touching the football at all this week for the San Francisco 49ers. He is out with a shoulder injury, only expected to miss the one game, that being Week 7 for San Francisco against Tampa Bay. Not exactly a fantastic matchup, about middle-tier run defense so far this season, but this creates the question of, you just mentioned handcuffs, Cam. Not as easy in the San Francisco running back as it is in Buffalo. Mike Davis did out-snap Sean Drawn by a significant margin last week. However, Drawn was the guy last season who really benefited from Carlos Hyde being out. 25 catches on 32 targets. He was sort of a poor man's Giovanni Bernard in a PPR. Where do you turn? Or do you turn to these guys at all? Are either one of these guys playable?
You're talking about 49ers handcuffs? Yeah, they're kind of flex cuffs made out of like paper. Like that's basically what it is. They're not steel handcuffs. And you look at Sean Drawn, we know what he is. Yeah, nothing spectacular. No. And Davis hasn't really had a shot yet. So even against the Tampa Bay defense, Gary, I'm thinking, I really don't like any situation with the 49ers backs. Like, I think we can go to the waiver wire and do a little bit better.
Yeah, I think if it's going to be a 60-40 split, regardless if you know which guy's getting the 60 and which guy's getting the 40, I think it's going to be Drawn in the passing game, Mike Davis on first and second down. But look, right now San Francisco is not exactly a fantasy haven in terms of offensive points scored. They are last in the league in plays per drive, last in the league in time of possession per drive, and second last in drive success rate. This is not a team that's going to put up a ton of points. There's not going to be a ton to go around in this offense.
And
I would ignore it.
He might just might decide to, I'm taking it myself.
It might be a Kaepernick week. So I'm going to ignore this completely unless you're very desperate in some sort of bye week situation.
Desperate move.
I would kind of pass this by. Jordan Reed also might not play week 7. We don't quite know how this can work with Jordan Reed right now. It's been a very complicated situation, a very fluid situation since it was announced he had a concussion last week and missed the Redskins game during week 6. But it has also been revealed he played through a concussion week 5 against the Baltimore Ravens, lying to the Redskins about if he was experiencing symptoms. So we know Jordan Reed would play if he was allowed to have that be his decision, but it's not. He's going to see a private doctor on Friday as part of the NFL concussion protocol, so we don't yet know if he's going to play. I will say, though, Cam, one thing that I noticed watching that Week 6 matchup with the Washington Redskins was Pierre Garçon was the main beneficiary of Jordan Reed being out. 11 targets Week 6. 4 of those came inside the 10-yard line, where Jordan Reed would generally be getting those targets. So going up against a Detroit defense that is probably the worst in the NFL, kind of feeling some Pierre Garçon here. I know Vernon Davis got the touchdown, though.
Yeah, well, actually, we were surprised. Vernon Davis got the touchdown. Garçon's been getting targets. And the thing about Garçon, he's that wily old veteran that we want to just like cast him off, but we can't cast him off because he's still getting it done. And Garion said it. You want to talk about Swiss cheese? The Detroit Lions are more like pussycats. Their defense, they made Case Keenum look like the second coming of Johnny Unitas. So what are you going to do? If Jordan Reed plays, I think he's going to have a huge game because Detroit, you talk about matchup proof, their defense stinks. I actually love the matchups for the Redskins this week.
Detroit and Cleveland, the only 2 fantasy defenses so far this season to allow at least 2 passing touchdowns in every single game. I think one of those goes to Pierre Garçon this week if Jordan Reed does not play. Okay, before we get out of here, Cam, the last item of news in the Big 4, Doug Martin will also not play during Week 7. It's been a rough go for Doug Martin. He has not played since Week 2 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Initially, Charles Sims was the handcuff you didn't even need to pick up. He was already owned in your leagues. This guy was drafted, but Charles Sims obviously now also on the IR. So it becomes the Jaquiz Rodgers situation. Yeah, Jaquiz Rodgers still relevant in 2016. And actually, sort of a weird situation. Rodgers tied Corey Dillon's NFL record, Cam, for most touches in an opening series.
Look at
2
the numbers,
weeks ago on Monday
Garion.
night. He was touching the ball like crazy.
He was shredding the Panthers defense. Yeah, I'm looking at Jaquiz Rodgers going, is this the same Jaquiz Rodgers from the Oregon State Beavers that used to carve up Pac-12 defenses? He was fantastic. And I got to admit, the little man he's basically playing for a job. Yeah. And he went over 100 yards against Carolina. I'm telling you, I actually think of the matchup with San Francisco. If you're desperate and you need a flex, I would actually say give Jaquiz a shot.
The problem with Jaquiz Rodgers is not just that he's
a small
short,
guy too.
Much like me, he has old man face, where you look older than you actually are. So I never have any faith in this guy. But look, it might not even be about Jaquiz Rodgers. It's just about ex-running back against the San Francisco 49ers. So far this season, at least since Week 1, San Francisco is allowing 33.2 points to opposing backfields. This is the highest total in the NFL. The 4 starting running backs in their last 4 contests, RB7, RB6, RB1, RB1. LaShawn McCoy tore that defense up last week. Jaquiz Rodgers is not LaShawn McCoy.
No, he's not.
But that defense is pretty putrid. If you can pick up Jaquiz Rodgers, or maybe you picked him up and held him last week, congratulations to you.
Yes.
A round of applause on that one. You are going to be reaping the benefits in Week 7 of the NFL season. But when we come back, as I mentioned, Cam, the matchups have been revealed to us today on HotRoster.com. So Cam and I will start to break down some of those individual matchups you can play this weekend on HotRoster.com. So stick around for that on HotRoster today.